Hey friends, what's up Brotherhood channel? Happy Wednesday. Hope you all are having a good day. Hopefully I got this video up before it's too late today. I'm filming it same day, but it currently is only like 2 p.m. here where I am, Central US time. So hopefully it's up before too late. I can turn around, get it up and stuff. Because I'm about to go run and get some food right after I film this, so might be a little delay between filming it and putting it up just for that reason. I haven't eaten today, so please excuse me for that. Please also, you might be able to see just a tiny bit of my messy dorm background. Please try to ignore that. And now that all that's out of the way, this week's topic, let's just go ahead and start with that. I think it should be a shorter video for me this week if I'm able to avoid rambling on for too long like I've already done a little bit. Because this week's topic was basically, I believe, name struggles, like name wow, I'm struggling saying this week's topic, just speaking in general right now. Okay, gosh, I get so stressed when I remember that I'm not gonna edit this. Anyways, this week's topic, I believe, is struggles before you like legally changed your name, or before you've legally changed your name, struggles with that, or like any ways to deal with that, basically, I believe. And I'm trying to pull it up right now just to make sure without being too obvious, but of course I can't find the app on my phone. Okay, yeah, so pre-name change struggles, how to deal with them type stuff. That's basically this week's topic. That is this week's topic, not basically. It's a train wreck this week, guys. Sorry. But yes, like I said, it's probably not going to be the longest topic for me, because for me personally, I wasn't really doing anything. Like, after I came out as trans and before I legally changed my name, I wasn't in school really, except for a few months, and I wasn't really fully out. It's the whole thing. But I wasn't really like in school or working or anything, so for the most part it didn't directly affect me. For a little bit, I noticed, I will say one thing real quick, I noticed that because my ID for a while obviously said, like, things were just mismatched on my IDs for a while. I still had the old name, but I was passing as male, so it was a little strange, but no one really seemed to pay much attention to my IDs, the names or the gender markers on my IDs. When they would like read me as male, they usually just ignore the ID gender marker. I guess I didn't use my ID with my other name too much before I was like outwardly passing, so again, it didn't really affect me majorly. For a while I had like IDs with different names because like the DMV, I had like permits, I never had a driver's license, and then like when I switched, the DMV never took my old permit. I don't know like if it was like wrong for me to have two IDs with two different names. Please don't blame me, because the DMV did not take it from me, so yes, I don't know. But basically for a while I had like two IDs that had different names, like the same ID, so I'd only use one. Obviously I'd only use the one with the new name, but I had like an issue where my military ID had my old name and my regular permit had my chosen name, so it was like it was like weird sometimes. And I had some issues sometimes with, like, if I wanted to show two forms of ID, I needed like my name change paper, because that my IDs didn't have the same name. One time I was able to use my military ID as a second form of identification, but I like switched also my other, like I used my old ID with my old name for my permit too, and like I had switched it because first I gave one identification. Sorry if I'm making this confusing. I first gave one form of identification, which was my permit with my new name, and the guy didn't believe that I was actually 18. And I was like 18, maybe even 19 at that time, but because I looked so young, I was really early on T, this guy just didn't believe me. So I wanted to show him two forms of ID to see if maybe he believed me that way, but I realized that I didn't have my name change paper, and my other ID that I was going to use, my military ID, had my old name, so my IDs wouldn't match, and I just look even more fake. So I went and got my old ID and showed this same guy I had just showed with the other name. I showed him this other ID with my old name, my permit with my old name, and my military ID, because I still had my old permit in my wallet just in case anything like what happened. So I showed him, I like literally switched my IDs, and he didn't notice that there was a different name than the first one. I don't even think he noticed that it was a different permit than the first one I showed him. I mean, everything was the same except a different picture. I mean, still me, obviously, but a different picture because it was taken at a different time and a different name. So, yeah, I don't know. It was weird, but he didn't even notice, and that I was like lucky I got through on that, because if he had noticed, it would just made me look so much more fake than before. But yeah, he didn't believe that it was a real ID because he didn't believe that I looked 18. And then to show him two forms of ID, I had to switch, and it was just a whole thing. But it worked out fine. Everything was fine with that. This video, I thought it wasn't going to be long, but I came up with that story that I totally forgot about. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, though, before this video gets too long, is the only other real name change issues I've ever had was when I first came to school. I had some issues with when I went to get my student ID. It was weird because I applied to my college under my old name because it was before I had like realized I was trans and stuff. And so they had all that on record. And even though I'd legally changed my name and we tried to get that all updated, somehow they accidentally put my birth name on my first student ID that I ever got here, and I didn't even realize it until like later on. Like it. I have a little funny story I might tell some other time for that, but I didn't even realize it till later on, and then I had to go switch it. And they had my name Kai in the system. They just somehow put my old name on the ID. I don't really know how that happened. Sometimes I think students work at that desk, and maybe it was just an accident, someone who didn't know what they were doing exactly. I don't know, but it was a little upsetting, and yeah, I just didn't like that experience. Especially the fact that I didn't even know it happened until after I'd showed this ID to people. So that was uncomfortable, but eventually we got that straightened out pretty easily by going back and figuring it out. The only other issue was my student email for a while was still under my birth name, even though all my other stuff here was changed to my my new name, my new legal name. And so it's weird because most of the issues I had actually came after I changed my name legally, and then just updating old stuff and getting everything to match. I didn't really have many experiences before I legally changed it that warranted any kind of accommodations or anything from me. Nothing besides just having to show my ID to someone who had no impact on my life or anything. But anyways, yeah, for a while my student, because our student emails are just our first name and last names at our university, and then some other stuff that I won't say exactly. So yeah, it was like my old name for a while, and I couldn't figure out how to log in because I kept trying to log in as Kai, and it still had my birth name, and it just was an issue for a while. But eventually I was able to get that solved. Luckily we have a Pride Alliance here at my school that was very helpful in getting that solved for me, so I was able to go there. And so sometimes it requires trying to figure out if there's resources in whatever situation you are to help you out with that, and hopefully there's that, and that would be a good starting point to start getting those things going, even if your name's not legally changed. I know decent people, and I've heard success stories of this, so it does happen where people are very accommodating and they will use a preferred name over a legal name if you are able to make them aware of that. Of course, there's instances where people aren't accommodating, people are not willing to do that, and then also different situations, certain like people in power will say that they can't do it for some reason, and unfortunately those things happen. There's a legal website I always recommend. I've never used it personally, but I I've heard pretty good things about it. You know, if anyone's had a bad experience with it, please let me know and I'll stop recommending it. But sometimes they can help with things. If there's anything legal you can do in that case, for the most part, I'd say, if at all, try to avoid, you know, those people who aren't going to respect what you prefer. Sometimes there's times where you can't, in which case, just, you know, in certain cases you have to put up with things, you know, put up with it as much as you can, you know, surround yourself with people outside of that situation who respect you and can bring you up and lift you up, especially after those situations and having to deal with that kind of suckiness. And then, you know, I would, you know, hope you could get out of that situation as soon as possible, but mostly just, you know, try to find people or groups that are designed to help with those. It's always great to have support with that, and I would encourage seeking that out. You know, what do you have to lose, really? And then if all else fails, try to just surround yourself outside that situation. Remember, that situation is that situation, and outside of that you can go and live your life and just forget them, you know. Do what you have to do, but at the same time, outside of that, know, you know, that's an isolated situation, and outside of that you can still be you, and find people who will support you, and all that stuff. So I don't know if that was helpful at all, but I hope it was. It was a long video, a lot longer than I anticipated. I thought this was going to be like a 4-minute, 5-minute video, but had a few stories there for you. Sorry, it's not exactly like, I don't have many experiences before legally changing my name, but I hope that helps a little bit with what my experience was, and maybe even some advice of just, you know, if you are in that situation. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying. But anyways, guys, I hope you all, as always, stay strong, stay safe, stay you. I love you all, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.